Hello and welcome. Julian calendar date, Monday, June the 18th, 2018. As we are close to the solstice, which means if you go to places like Barrow, Alaska, you ain't gonna see really any darkness, if any at all, during this time frame. And on the actual first day of summer, none. If you happen to be near the South Pole, where your ass would be literally freezing, then you won't see any sunlight at all, and probably around minus 50 to 60 degrees Celsius. Pretty cold. Maybe even colder than that. It's currently negative 42 in the South Pole. In Barrow, Alaska, and there's no road to get there. It's at the very north tip. 1 degree Celsius, which is 32 degrees Celsius, or Fahrenheit is 0 degrees Celsius, negative 2 degrees Celsius wind chill factor. No sunrise, no sunset, so it's at the point of complete light. Make sure when you go to sleep there that you close your window. Of course, here in the Toronto area, heat warning, Southern Ontario, hot and humid conditions will continue today. High temperatures are expected to reach the low 30s again, with peak humidex values near 40 degrees. Places like Green Bay, Wisconsin, well, much cooler there. They are several feet above sea level compared to Toronto, so it's naturally got to be colder there, but it can get very hot even in the mountains, which would be more Calgary-like. And how is it 8 degrees Celsius there with a high of 22 today? I know it's like 6 in the morning. It's 6:30. Well, 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:35 Mountain Time as I'm doing this broadcast. We're in Denver, 14 degrees Celsius, and it's going to be warm this week as it gets to the high 20s, 32 degrees next Monday. Now, I'm not a meteorologist by any means. I'm not a weather forecaster, although I can do a pretty good job at it. But you know what? Weather forecasting is very easy. I'm going to make a very, very bold prediction that in 6 months from now, the vast majority of everywhere in North America and everywhere north of Washington, D.C. is going to be colder in 6 months from now. Just a flat out prediction. Obviously, that's pretty much guaranteed. We're moving into the hot summer months. And within Bitcoin, the action may not be so hot right now, but it's there. Not much going on. I don't want to talk too much about Bitcoin today. It's obviously in a symmetrical triangle. Not a symmetrical triangle means an uptrend and a downtrend at the same time. Indecisive indecision pattern that's going to have to break to one level or another. And overall, with price action staying above this area of key support that it's been, then it's still in the same situation of correcting sideways, neutrality, all that kind of stuff, but really can't get bullish until it breaks anywhere past these points. So this is neutrality zone, and it's at the very bottom of it. So the progress hasn't changed. Maybe the probability odds for an event keeps maneuvering a little bit here and there. And wild up and down moves within such is certain to continue to be the case. So within this symmetrical triangle, let's just take a look at it very, very short term. And as I've been mentioning before, all of these very quick up and down V, U shape, reverse U and V shape formations, very common. A lot of failed breakouts and fast moves, but not that fast, of course, just to key levels. Also not an uncommon thing. And the price action after that failed breakout so far has, on the short term, has only came down to here for a third time and looking to resist this level. But it's just resisting an area where it's been doing so for quite some time. This is, again, all choppy, nonsense short-term action, unless, of course, you're a short-term trader. And the beauty part about Fibonacci retracement, Fibonacci upside, Fibonacci downside, but how the numbers are played in my book. This is theta on the 15-minute time frame. Switch it up to a 3-hour. And this Fibonacci line represents the downside target from the 2,500 and change lows and the 3,100 and change highs. I mentioned this before from the last time, or the fast Fibonacci downside move from this low to this high was in right at this low at 2,600 and change, and it had an okay rally. So for me, as a trader, knowing this number, I'm looking to make a small position back into theta. I was in it before I got out, and I'd be looking to get back in, of course, again at a break below 22.95. And I was ready at 7:30 this morning, but we had this green candle up, and now it's just hanging in there. I'm looking for a pierce below, probably closer to 22.50 even, to enter into the position. But it's something that I'm going to be looking at for the day. And now let's talk about the wild beast of these markets. Failed move, fast move. And Dash has been very choppy. I talked about it yesterday. So of the nice, most looking bullish setups, well, Dash is one of the leaders down today. Talked about it yesterday, and let's take a look at this on the hourly time frame. Failed breakout, fast move higher. Can you see it? Let's draw a horizontal. Roughly around here is the line, the upper extended point, but the general line touching everything would be around here. So around the 410 handle. It gets above this point. Yes, yay, it does. And I've done this a lot lately, it seems, where I'll draw this rectangular thing on a break of resistance or support like this, and then thereafter there's that fast move back to the downside. So it continues a choppy range. It's now at the lower end of its support mark, but just thought I'd bring this up. And I've stated so many times that I have, from my just first hand in trading, real currency that is, not the fake game, which when I started this and I was learning in 2007 into 2008, I started off by trading fake accounts. But I never got caught too much in the move where I'd be going long in spots like here and getting my ass kicked. That didn't happen too often, but it was when I was day trading in 2009. And then just a quick look next at Cloak, which is a very beautiful choppy play as well. As you can see, the nice up and down movements, which is very typical for buying low, selling high. I'm not going to draw a line, but if you look at all these support levels, going back to the start of this in October of or start of this low here anyway, from 2016, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, and it's barely making a higher low now. But the trend line you would draw within a log scale, at least this log scale, is still holding relatively well. But since the summer highs last year, it's made a lower high, a lower high. There's been one higher high, but it never traded there too long. It was one of those quick blips more than anything. So it's got a lot of its symmetrical indecision type of pattern within it, and at its current moment, just even forgetting that issue, it's been in a downtrend with the 18 average, resisting the highs, breaking below the lows, and then making a leg lower, as it made a leg lower concluding May the 11th, concluding May the 29th, and again at around the 13th of June. We've seen now that it's had this correctionary test for 3 days within the band. It had a wild session yesterday where it broke down well below it, but then recaptured its move, having a small red candle today, still well above the highs. If you look at this on a 400-minute time frame, you can see the culprit happens amongst here. But when it all comes down to it, yes, it's going to spark a big move, but the way I look at it is, I don't know if this is going to be the correctionary move, because I've seen this work both ways from here. as I've seen it resist this thing like we've seen in many cases before, where in a bear market you're resisting the 18 and then it goes lower. And I've seen it correct it many times as well, where you're in here, correctionary move, but it stays and holds within the 18. Thus, it's able to enable, within a sideways or barely rising move, a bullish setup, which in this case worked out for a good leg higher. So then, when we look at this again as we stand into place, the 18 average of highs barely declining, but still 18 average of lows declining well, but if it can hold this, it would start flattening out, thus give it the area and the statement breaking above that it can revert the trend. And what I look for from this point, after it's had a decent correctionary move, the realization of knowing the neutrality will come in, but then waiting for confirmation signs of it breaking down below to get better odds of a decent leg lower. For it's at 88.16, and I'm only barely confident on this, that this is going to go down decently soon. Or less confident than significantly less confident than I would be at 8,300, 8,200, and that's only a differential of like 5% down. And a significant move lower, I'd be talking to at least this line at the 604 handle, which is a much serious move than 5% down. So I'm rather just going to let the market do what it needs to do with my strat in play. This is code strat, but that's stratus. I'm talking about my stratas and strategy. By the way, this is showing another sign where it's leaving at 18 average. So this is where I talk about here, where say it's 47.1. I'm more concerned more than anything that we could have a leg lower. Now it's looking like the plat. Especially when it had this support test originally on June 13th. But this is the wild moves that these markets have. Oh, all we do here is go from 85 change to about 45. How about losing half its value just in the last month and a half? Okay, that's how the game works. On the daily term time frame, that losing half its value was just making the right shoulder to what's inverted cup and handle a more bearish pattern than a double top, because its rally was half-assed compared to a double tops rally, which would have gotten back up to 15 or better than a 80% rally. Target levels for stuff like this, where did it come from? Well, if it's lucky, it would go down to 39, and I would even bring that down to 33,333 just by looking at this, and even a possible pierce below, even down to maybe 30. But even if it does, if a code like this were to go down to 20, 18 even, lose 60+% from here, does that tell me the coin is a dead, not a good coin? And listening to one of the I'm going to say developers of the coin on the JSNIP4 channel, it's just a bunch of hogwash stuff. Or maybe it was good, but they had failures in their development. Maybe. But all the cryptos are doing this. And it's all about profiting from volatility. So any coins that you know that happen to be doing well, as far as its fundamentals are concerned, not price action, well, they're all probably doing very poorly, a lot of them via price action. And that might give you an idea of this could work out to be very profitable with these wild swings if there's going to be further legs lower. Because a lot of these setups show, man, these can have decent sized legs lower. And if there's a sustained further decline where Bitcoin goes to 3,000-ish or area where it loses more than half, especially if it does so in a 3 to 7, 8 week period, then these things over that same period might just have that decline, where maybe in 2 months from now in August I might be talking about, okay, this cloak's at 15, it's just down a lot. And then I'll say that in a few weeks. Next thing you know, at Christmas time I'll be saying, okay, It's up 17 times. What do we do now? Well, let's sell. Stuff like that. Of course, everything you do is within your own risk, own reward. And I'm just going on what history has been stating with these markets. They go down wild and they go up fast, wild, quick, hefty, and awesome. Magnificent returns when they're ready to go. Because what I don't say too often on here that I used to say all the time, and I will say a lot more again, and I do it when the market's doing it. When the cryptos are ready to go, they just go. Key word is when they are ready. And when the whole system together, like was the case in the final month of 2017, when they all go up together, it can be wild, it can be magnificent, and it can be winning as easy as throwing darts at the dartboard, picking the code that whatever it comes up, because it seems that almost everything wins. Will that condition come back again? I think it will. But again, it's when it's ready to go, and I don't even want to guess when, because it could be as early as today or tomorrow, and it could happen next year sometime. These declining, grinding down movements could still have time left in it. Of course, it's not important for me to make the guess because I got no real relative wager based on how long and how deep a decline's going to be, just as the markets move, adjusting to the just message of the market and doing whatever transactions for myself that needed to be done based on the market conditions. Thank you for tuning in to today's video and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.